first glaze this little Kyusu pot into this glaze, and I'm just gonna glaze the inside and over this rim. So I'm gonna hold the spout shut so it doesn't come over the spout. Now I already know the viscosity of my glaze is right. I know the specific gravity is right. So I know that if I want a nice yellow with this glaze, I'm gonna have to leave it on pretty decently. Let me get over here on this side, and you can see I missed right here. So I'm just gonna take my pitcher and pour in and pour over. And now I'm gonna dip that baby in, because I'm gonna take this off the spout. Where I don't want it, I'm just gonna remove it. And I don't want it on the spout, and I don't want it on, well, maybe I do want it on that little knob. Let me put some more on there. I kind of like that, but I'm pretty positive I don't want it on the spout. So you can see I'm putting a pretty good coat of glaze on there because I want it to be a really bright yellow. And this glaze can be almost earthy and brown if it's thin, and go to yellow and even brighter yellow if I get it on fairly thick. So I'm looking at it when I bring it up and out and assessing, do I have enough on there? And I think at this point, I really do. I'm feeling good about it. Now, I want to say, oh, well, how I do that we can do on every glaze, but we can't. It's just not the case. Every glaze is unique. Clean off all this that I don't want on the body, because tomorrow I'm going to put a beautiful stony green on there that often makes beautiful strontium crystals, because there's strontium carbonate in that glaze, and it makes me very happy. I think I'm going to leave this little cap of yellow on there, but not on the spout. And when I glaze this tomorrow and do the second half of this pot for your video, I'm going to wet this spout right at the end so that it doesn't absorb a lot of glaze on the tip, because that can mess up our pour. I talked about that briefly in class, but you know, once you see something like that, it really seals it for you. So you'll see that when I put the second coat of glaze on here, which will be the inside, on the outside here. So I've got a little bit of a problem right up under here where I don't want it. Yep, this pot will have to dry overnight. My pots are always a 2-day process, always. But that's because I like to layer glaze. Put a little bit more right there, and I'm going to put it back on the top rim of this pot right there where I rubbed it off cleaning. That's feeling pretty good. Yeah. And now, if I have a little moving down into the texture of the slip, I don't mind. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna like it a lot. So I've got it completely off the spout. I have a teeny little bit on the handle. And I think that I'm going to have this lid match this rim. So I'm gonna go ahead and stir my glaze again and glaze this whole lid. And if you remember, I dipped that rim several times, so I'm gonna hold this glaze in pretty long. 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. And now I'm gonna take it out and let the glaze just gently move across the surface. I want to hold it pretty nicely on there so that I get a really bright yellow. This is a very, very versatile glaze. So I'm going to take the most I can off while it's wet, off of this rim, where it's going to sit down in the valley, in the galley. It's just easy to remove when it's wet. I wouldn't do this except for that I have a really nice place to hold it where there is no glaze. All right, you gotta make sure you don't have glaze pooling in your air hole. I've got a little brush that I'll show you later that I clean it out with. It's a little straw brush, and it will do a wonderful job. So you can see the inside is glazed nicely, the outside is glazed nicely. I've got a nice rim, coat of glaze on the rim. A lot of people put their glazes on too thick or too thin, and there's only one way to learn, and that is every glaze is unique. So I highly recommend that you aren't using 10 and 20 different glazes. Limit your palette and really learn them. And then when you've got them down pat, that's when you add one more and learn it. So now you can see it's a really nice clean galley, a really nice clean lid. I can put it right on there. And you can see that I have a little bit of distance between the glaze on both the lid and the rim. So tomorrow, I'm gonna dip this in the stony green, and I will dip this all the way to the end in the stony green. Okay,